Hi, everyone. Tanya Hertz here. We are going to be talking a little bit tonight about uh, leadership, motivation, satisfaction, employee happiness, job performance. We're going to look at also levels of organizational commitment and how do they all tie in together? What's the correlation between each of those? And let me tell you, there are lots of correlative studies that show that they are related to one another. Happy employees are better performing employees, and they tend to stay at organizations longer, and they tend to be more committed to the organization. They tend to be better citizens in the organization. They're more helpful, kind, just a myriad of benefits. So let's start by looking at one particular study. It was really interesting. I thought it was from the Gallup. It was a Gallup poll, and it estimated that if companies could increase their performance by just less than 4%, 3.7%, that's about 18 minutes of extra work out of a given 8-hour shift, the GDP of the US, it would swell by 355 billion with a B dollars. That's twice the total GDP of Greece. So you can see big numbers here when we're talking about motivation and performance. So our ability as managers to motivate others, it has to do with our ability to understand others, and really it varies very significantly output and motivation across leaders, across followers in organizations on a given day. Now, when we say motivation, that's anything that provides direction, intensity, persistence to a behavior. Motivation is not observable. We can't see motivation, but we can infer whether or not an employee is motivated based on his or her behavior. Performance. Now, performance are behaviors directed towards the missions, the goals of the organization, resulting from the behaviors. It's different. This is different than effectiveness. And effectiveness is making judgments about the adequateness of behaviors based on some observable criteria. And another component that we look at is job satisfaction, another word for happiness, right? How much somebody likes their job. And satisfied workers tend to be better performers. They tend to be more helpful, and they tend to be more committed. Now, the performance and satisfaction is a smaller correlation, but satisfaction correlated with commitment and turnover. There's a big correlation there. So satisfied employees stay at an organization longer. They're less likely to leave. They save the company money because of the reductions in turnover, right? And we also know that satisfied employees engage in more citizenship behaviors. So these are not task performance behaviors, but they are part of the job performance in that they improve the atmosphere of work, the quality of work, and they make work just a better place to be. And we're going to look a little bit more at some of the relationship amongst or between the leaders, the followers, the situation, and job performance and satisfaction. But there are so many studies out there. I'll just kind of touch on it just quickly, that there is a correlation between performance and satisfaction. And even though it's not a direct correlation, in the long run, increased or improved job satisfaction leads to more money for the organization, because you do not have things like high levels of follower retaliation or turnover in an organization when they're happy, right? Happy employees don't steal, they don't retaliate, they don't leave, et cetera, et cetera. And so they save the company money. So even if you don't care altruistically, if you care about the bottom line of your company, if you care about making money in your company, then you still should care about employee satisfaction, employee motivation. Okay, so there are several different motivational theories that are helpful, and it's important as leaders that we know about which theory to choose for a certain person, for a certain situation. And choosing the right theory could mean making more money, keeping your employees happy, keeping them working hard. And most of the performance problems that you can see can really be attributed to ambiguity, right? Ambiguity is ambiguity or unclear directions, instructions, expectations, or it could be a lack of skill. It could be that we don't have enough, the right resources. We don't have the, enough money to pay. Well, pay is almost never a cause, but lack of motivation is. It is. So it's tough as a leader. It's tough to say what is what's the root cause of whatever behavior I'm observing, and if it's motivation, how do I correct this? Right? How do I correct this problem? All right. So there are 5 approaches to motivation, and we'll go through them one by one, starting with the oldest theory that's been around the longest, Maslow's theory of hierarchical needs. And really what you need to know about Maslow's is if you want to change employees' behavior, you have to satisfy their needs, right? Starting with the most basic needs. There's the achievement orientation method, which looks at personality traits. There's the goal setting method of changing behavior. There's the operant approach, which changes the punishment or reward for your employees. And then finally, the most effective method, and perhaps it's the newest method, it's the empowerment theory. And that states that if we give employees autonomy, autonomy means the ability to make their own decisions, right? You're not micromanaging them. You let them do what they want to do. If you give them autonomy, they will perform better. Employees like autonomy. They like to, they will, they'll prove you right if you have good expectations about them. However, I will say this about autonomy. You cannot give every employee autonomy. If you have employees who are not very smart, okay, I don't know how else to say it. If you have employees who aren't very bright, or employees who are don't have a high level of cognitive ability, chances are you'll give them autonomy, and what they'll do is they'll slack, right? They'll just look for ways to get away with things. But when you have really, a higher level, a higher caliber employee, then empowering them can be really effective, really, really effective. Okay. All right, moving on. So again, like I said, Maslow's hierarchy of needs, that just basically states that if you want to motivate your employees, you have to meet their basic needs first. So needs are sort of those internal states of being uncomfortable or having something deficient. And when needs aren't being met, people will engage in behaviors to satisfy them. And so to motivate employees, you have to first meet their needs. You have to meet first the lower order needs, and then you can move up to the higher level needs like self-actualization or things like this. So this is what it looks like, the pyramid. So if you want your employees motivated, first meet their psychological needs, their physiological needs rather, before their psychological. So do they have a place to live? Do they have health insurance? Do they have food on the table? Are they secure? And then you start moving more up into more less tangible, more ephemeral type needs: belongingness, esteem, actual self-actualization. Right? These are so this has been around for a long time. It's an old theory of management, and I personally, I do have some issues with this theory. There are absolutely 100%. There is validity to this theory. Think about starving artists, right? Think about people like I think about me sometimes with the job of teaching. I do it because I love it, right? I do it because now money isn't as big of an issue for me. But when I remember when I first started teaching, I took the job even though it doesn't pay very well, right? Because I loved it, and back then I needed the money more. And so there are some issues with this theory, but by and large, it does make a lot of sense. Now, it's not predictive, right? It's a way that we can sort of look at what's going on, but it's not going to predict how someone will behave, right? And the way that I use it is I say, well, if I want my employees to perform well, if I want them motivated, they need their basic life needs met, the fundamental needs met before I can expect them to be concentrating on whatever project it is that I'm giving them. All right. So we're going to stop there. I'll see you in the next video.